everyone. This is Star Zenith 33 Laura Francesca here at Podbean. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody is just doing fabulous. After the solar Leo eclipse that we had this morning, but it has not gone away. Okay, we're still under the portal for several weeks. So, but the most strongest that's going to hit is going to be within today and a couple more days. I would say about 3 to 4 more days. That's when it hits the most. So there's a lot of letting go that we're doing right now. And I wanted to just follow up with everybody to see how everybody's doing, how everybody's feeling, and also do some storytelling, interesting storytelling that I do have today. And it's going to be a more entertaining type of episode today, and but also diving into the astro weather and what the heck is going on. Okay, so let's jump in there. Thank you for following here and listening to Podbean here. We're also at Amazon Music, on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio as well. And we are at YouTube as well. You can listen to the YouTube as well. And Apple Podcasts. We can't forget about Apple, right? So anyways, we're in every platform, and I feel very blessed to be talking to everybody, the whole wide world, about what is going on with the energies. Okay, and I do want to say, I do. Let me go um, into my stats here. Um, the three most highest views and downloads, of course, is the United States, and then is Singapore. Okay, so I want to give a shout out to Singapore for listening to the podcast. Also to Austria. Okay, that's very odd. So Austria is downloading. I'm getting a lot of views from Austria and Germany and Hong Kong. Okay, so those, I have more countries, but those are very low numbers, the other countries. But United States, Singapore, Austria, Germany, and Hong Kong. Okay, they're listening to the podcast. So I just want to give a shout out and say thank you for listening to the podcast. Every listener that I get is a download, and it matters. Okay, it matters because this just tells me what type of people are listening in, and how I can talk more topics that can reference and you can relate to, right? Of course, astrology relates to the whole wide world, but now that I know these countries are following, maybe I can do some topics based on those countries as well. Okay, so that's why we look at statistics there. Um, so I wanted to first of all say congratulations to the Powerball winner. There's a Powerball winner that won in Chicago, Illinois, and after many weeks and weeks and weeks, the Powerball reached $1 billion, right? And that was a huge jackpot. And finally, today, a winner won, right? And I've been playing like every week. I've been playing. It's not so bad. It's only $2, right? So if you really think about it, $2 a draw, right? Which is one line. Um, you go to Chipotle, you go to McDonald's, you go to any other restaurant, right? And you're gonna leave out of there at least spending $20. So, I don't know. I'm just a risk taker because this year I am a personal number 5, which is a gambler, which is someone that takes risks. It's adventurous, right? It's a little bit chaotic as well. But is very adventurous, is very beautiful as well. You'll be able to, if you're a 5, people will perceive you as a little bit more beautiful than usual. That's where beauty is illuminated. And so, it's that's what I am. I'm a five for this year, my personal number. So when you're a five, you take gambling. It's like playing the casinos and winning. And I have been winning the lottery. I'm not gonna lie. I also play the California lottery, which is only $1. And I have been winning in the California lottery, and not a lot, but I have been winning. Like almost every time I play. So that is very interesting there, and I'm not surprised because it has to do with the five personal number, right? And so this is why you have to know numerology, you have to know astrology, because if I didn't have a five personal number, I probably might not be taking too many chances in playing the lottery. And for me, I play it for fun. Okay, I don't play it because, oh, I think I'm just gonna, I am very determined to win. I do want to win like big money. And I do believe because of my astrology, I can. I have a lot of luck, a lot of power. Okay, kapow, for the following 10 years. Okay, I'm in my lucky strike, and or my lucky streak. And it's all because I went through a lot of hardships in my past. Okay, so you don't always have hardships. Okay, it's after the hardships and then you see the rainbow, right? It's after it rains, right, then the sun comes out, right? So it's never, I never think that it's always going to be difficult, it's always going to be hard. No, it's seasonal. This is why I love astrology, because with astrology it's also seasonal. Okay, there's going to be times you're going to go through hardships, but if you stick around and you fight, and or you strategize, in how to overcome certain transits that you're going through, understand that maybe 2 3 years from now it's going to look something way different. Okay, and so this is what I love about astrology. It gives hope. you know and it's all about cycles, and it has to do with history as well, the history that is repeating and so forth. And when you study, this is what a lot of astrologers do, they study history to see what can happen in today's world. And it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be similarities. Okay, and this is why we study history when it comes to astrology. So I just want to say congratulations to the winner in Chicago, and hope he was a Latino. Not that, I mean, I wouldn't congratulate any other if you were not Latino, but, I am, well, I'm not Latina, I'm Mexican, okay? I'm Hispanic, okay? I'm Hispanic American. Um, but I would love for Hispanic to win, or Latino, doesn't matter. Because it's our people, and we work really really hard. And there was a study shown that there was Latinos, or Hispanics, that sent over $1 billion to Mexico. Well, I'm going to say Hispanic because the what it is, Hispanic is more like Mexican. Latinos are um, more like Venezuela and Puerto Rico and Argentina and all those Latin America. Those would be like Latinos. But Mexicans, Hispanic would be like more bougie when it comes to Mexico, like in Mexicans. But there was over $1 billion that was sent to Mexico from people that work here in the United States, that were sending Mexico money for their families to, either they usually send it to so they could build a home. It could be for education for their kids or anything like that. But I think there was this fear of getting deported, so they were just sending money, in case they do get deported. At least their family, is able to receive whatever money they've made and stuff. But I do believe that we are hardworking. We're very hardworking here, and some of them do work that I would never do, but it has to be done, right? A lot of them is, cleaning toilets. A lot of it is being, I don't know, just maybe a trash man or something. I don't know, working really, really hard. And they send the money to Mexico, but that's a lot of money, over $1 billion. So that just shows the work ethic. That just shows that we're willing to work hard, which I don't really recommend working hard. I recommend working smart. Okay. Well, nowadays it's different. That's more like um, the more like the whole working hard. That was like the whole uh, revolution. Very traditional, and we're just not in that era anymore. Now we're more in technology, and the baby boomers, they just don't really understand a lot of the technology. Like us that are, Generation X or Generation Y or Z. And so it's pretty difficult for them to kind of understand, um, to use, technology to ease the work. And that's something I'm going through, like with my mom, having to use a washer and dryer, and, you know, still not able to, she's too adapted to, washing on her own. And, and I have to tell her, that you have to start learning how to, wash on the washer. And so it's pretty, when you're a Taurus, it's like, oh God, it's so stubborn. But I'm a Taurus rising too, but I'm not that stubborn. You know what I mean? I'm actually a Taurus rising with the Leo degree. So this is why I can be perceived as entertaining. But if you're too earthy, you know, um, it's just, you're gonna just adapt and stick to what's working and what's traditional. And I mean, that's fine, but you have to apply some technology, because we're not living in Mexican days. Okay, like in Mexico, we are not living in Mexico. This is the United States. um so I just have to teach my mom. You know what I mean? Teach her. But when they're baby boomers, they're just so used to just traditional. And us were, all innovative. It's a little bit difficult, but I don't believe in working hard. I believe in working smart and being intelligent, right? Because that is the new wealth. Okay, the more intelligent you are, the more money you're gonna make. Okay. And so I would suggest anybody to just, be more smarts about what's coming in, and AI and everything else, because when there's lots of jobs, then, you have to use technology. So, that's eventually where we're heading. So anyway, so now that I talked about the Powerball winner, uh, congratulating him. It doesn't matter. It could have been anyone, but I really wish it's a Latino or Mexican guy or female. Okay. Um, I wanted to talk about the astro weather here, but before I do that, I do want to give a little storytelling that happened today. Without looking at the astrology, because I had no idea, and I should, I'm an astrologer, I should know, or should even pull my app, to look at what's happening in the sixth house. The sixth house is the local environment. It also rules pets. It rules you working, your work, how you hustle, all of that. It also has to do, very important, it has to do with your health. Okay, so it's health and wellness, your environment, the work you do, and so forth. Okay, shopping as well is, where you shop, how you shop, when you shop. And so without even looking at the astrology, I went to go buy lotto tickets. And so I just said, I didn't see nothing of it. But I did want to get out because it was the first day of the eclipse in Leo. So I like to test the energies, right? So I like to, head out there and see what's going to happen on this Leo eclipse. I'm just a risk taker like that, you know what I mean? And sometimes I'll do it without even looking at the chart. And it just depends how I feel. If I'm feeling like, you know what, I'm just gonna go out there and, buy me some tickets. It was not a lot of tickets. I think it was I only bought 3 tickets. And I said, I'm gonna, go buy me some tickets and just go for a walk, right? And so I wanted to get out of the house. I said, let me get some air and stuff. And, knowing that it's not the great year to do power walks in this town, okay, because it was founded on the year of the rat, and it's the enemy of the horse, okay? So this is definitely not the year for our town, and I've said it over and over. But we just have to make the best out of it, okay? And but not be too risky where like you're walking late at night or something like that. But I truly do not recommend power walks unless you live in a really good area and there's plenty of police and protection. Then I would recommend that. But other than that, it's not recommendable. The frequency, the energy is not the best. Um, so I went to go buy my lottery tickets, and then I was heading back. Oh yeah, I think I bought me a cheesecake too. I went to Vaughn's and I bought me a cheesecake, and um, I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. And I hadn't ate cheesecake for, oh my gosh, a long time. And I just say, you know what? I'm gonna splurge on a cheesecake because I have not ate cheesecake for a long time, and I really love the ones that they sell at Vaughn's. And it was just a piece of cheesecake, and so I went to go buy that, and then I was already heading back. I was in the downtown area, kind of close. I was trying to reach the downtown area. Okay, I was very close to it, and I ran into a mental illness person for the second time. Okay, and so he had headphones on, like big old headphones, and he was singing, right? Like I think it was like a rock and roll song or something. He looked like one of those older white men, that are probably drunk or do drugs or something, or is mentally ill or something. But he was singing really loud the rock and roll song, right? I mean, like obnoxious loud, where you can hear him like across the street, right? And I have nothing against you singing music. I mean, heck, we have a lot of Leo right now, right? It's all about music, entertainment, and so forth. But no, it was nothing like that, okay? This music that he was singing to, he was like yelling, okay? And I don't know what the lyrics were saying of the song. That's another thing. I don't know what the lyrics were saying. But he was singing along with the song, but yelling, like if he was actually yelling at someone. And I was like, oh my, I looked and I was like, oh, what the heck is wrong with him? I said, he must be mentally ill. And he was yelling, but yelling. I'm like, God, he has some lungs. And he was just like shaking his head and just yelling really loud, which it kind of was like freaky. To me, I was like, that's odd. Like he wants attention, or he wants people to give attention to him or something. I don't know. So then I just ignored him, and I said, gee whiz. And I just kept walking. So he was walking on the opposite side. Well, what happens is that he was walking towards me, and what happened was that I crossed the street. Okay. I crossed the street towards the other side of the sidewalk. And what I have found out in this town, and maybe it has to do with mentally ill people, or people that are on drugs, is that when you cross the street, that irritates them. Okay, that really bugs them. And so I crossed the street, and I know this by experience because I've experienced this with other people that are not all there in the head, that they get really pissed off when you cross the street, when you don't want to walk by them. And so anyway, I crossed the street, and I don't know what happened. He just kept listening to him, like, okay, whatever. So I crossed the street and I just kept walking. I didn't look back to look at him or nothing like that. I just thought he was just going to continue walking straight wherever he was going, because we were going the opposite direction. So I just kept walking, and then finally I reached, the downtown area. And which pretty much that's where there's like a lot of cops and a lot of people and so forth. And as I reach the downtown area, I hear this man screaming again. And from the time that I crossed the street to hit to the downtown area, it took at least like, I would say maybe 15 to 17 minutes just to get to the downtown area. So he was already on his way on the opposite direction of going towards the opposite of where I was, right? But as soon as I hit the downtown area, it took about 17 minutes, around 17, 18 minutes around there. Um, I heard, you know, this man screaming, like singing, like the same thing. And I was like, oh my God, is that the same man? And I was saying, I looked and I said, shit, it's the same man, right? I said, I thought he was going the other direction. Why is he coming? How did he reach so fast to where I was? Right? So I think what happened, he was going that direction and then he made a U-turn and he decided, on his feet because he was not on a bike or in a car, nothing. So he turned the other way towards where I was walking and he started to follow me. So what happened was I was trying to see if maybe he was following me or not. So when I heard him, screaming on the headphones again, I s- I s- I just stopped where I was so he can look at me, right? To see if he was going to approach it. He kept walking towards me. He kept walking towards me, and I was like, oh shit. So then, what happened was, I think he looked the other way or something. He looked somewhere else, and then I was able to hide behind a car where there was a lot of people, but I just hid behind the car because I wanted to see what he was going to do, you know? And then he stopped. And I was like, oh shit. So my strategy is, and not only with people, but also with animals, because this has happened with foxes, is that I like to study them. My strategy is to study them to see what they're going to do and just either hide behind a tree or hide behind a car or behind people or something, and just to see what they're going to do. And once I observe them of what they're going to do, then I make my move. So I, I, I stood there behind a car and he couldn't see me. He looked around like he was trying to look for me and like trying to say like, where did she go? You know, as soon as he looked the other way, I went and I hid behind a car, that was just parked there. I guess because now that I'm losing weight, um, I was invisible. I went invisible, So he was looking around like, where did she go? And he couldn't find me. And then he raised his hands up in the air and he said, oh, well, and he kept walking and then he made a right turn going towards the harbor area, more towards where West Harbor is. He was going towards that way. He probably thought I was going to go that way or something, and I didn't. And so I just stood there, and then I see him walking away towards West Harbor, and I just said, okay, um, now it's safe for me to, continue walking, right? But I think if he would have seen me, I kept looking though side to side just to see if maybe maybe he'll turn around again if he sees me. And he didn't. So he was already like, got distracted on something else. But I think if he would have seen me walking like on the other side, he probably would have continued following me. And I knew he was like just following me. I don't know why, you know what I mean? And so I think I have really great energy. Um, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it was just this frequency. It's just my frequency is very high right now as well. This is why I have to wait. I have to wear shungai. I don't know why I say way. um, I have to wear shungai because my energy is too powerful, and the 5G can be too powerful. So the shungai, it lowers the frequency of 5G because being in 5G is not good. Okay, it can get you sick and so forth. And so the shungai, what it minimizes, because if you use a lot of technology as well, but for me, having a Jupiter Pluto conjunction is very powerful, very, very powerful in the sign of Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius has to do with technology. So the more technology you have on you, uh, it's more likely that you can get sick, you can get cancer. There's a lot of studies shown with high 5G, okay? Especially if you live in a town that has 5G. And in the town that I live in does have high 5G. And it has it because it's a tourist place. We can't do nothing about it, but what we can do is wear shungai, okay? Because there's been studies shown that when you wear shungai, and they tested it also, that the 5G goes way down, okay, way, way down, so it doesn't affect you. And it's advisable to wear shungai and also have it inside your home, which I do. I have several little pyramids of shungai in every room, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the living room, in my room, everywhere, just to minimize the frequency, and so we can be healthy. And it is 11:11 right now. As soon as I say that. Um, so anyway, that's my story there. It wasn't scary, but I did podcast that there was going to be this frequency of a little bit of fearfulness, okay, with this Leo eclipse, okay, at 20 degrees of Scorpio. So I have a feeling that the man probably was on drugs, okay, because Scorpio rules drugs and alcoholism and toxicity and so forth. And because there's just no way to explain that, how someone can sing that. And there's nothing wrong with singing. I love to sing too, right? But no, this was not really normal singing. This was yelling. It was obnoxious. It was like, what are you doing? Like, and it just disturbed like the whole community. And not that they care, because it was kind of like low vibration community anyway. Um, but it was just, I just felt like telling him, shut up, like, you get on my nerves, like, shut up. But of course, I couldn't say that because I don't know. He probably had a gun, maybe. I don't know. He could have had a gun. He could have had knives with him or something. And that's why I say that females need to be protecting themselves, okay? Because Venus is in Libra, okay? It just jumped into Libra. And right now it's at 6 degrees. Interesting. Okay, see, this is why I wanted to do the update on the astro weather, because Venus is at 6 degrees. 6 degrees has to do with the local community. It has to do with your environment, your health. Okay, it has to do with the work that you do and so forth, shopping and all of that. And what this tells me is that there could be like beautiful females that are walking around the environment. And what is this? Let me look at this asteroid here. Okay, wow. Okay, so this Venus in Libra at 6 degrees of health, like somebody that's healthy or wants to be healthy, um, that is walking in the environment, is coming together with Fortuna in Libra at 7 degrees, okay, of balance, at 7 degrees of beauty, 7 degrees of relationships. And so, because it's coming together with Venus, it just tells me that this is a female that is fortunate. Okay, this is a female that is worth money. Smells good, looks good. Is confident in who she is and so forth. She's worth a lot. And this is where Venus is right now. A lot of females um, are. Let me see what house it is. Venus is in the sixth house. Wow, it's in the sixth house at the 6 degrees. So sixth house has to do with your local environment. Okay, is where you adapt. The motto there is I adapt. Okay, so it's in your local community. It's where you give of service to others. Routine matters. Our clothes and how we wear it, our hygiene, food as well, and how healthy we are, and things like that. So it also has to do with employees and employers. Um, responsibilities and so forth. So, um, because it's coming together with Fortuna, you might just be a fortunate person, a fortunate female because it's Venus, and it could be male as well. You know, um, but usually, I look at it Venus as being very female, especially in the sign of Libra, and it's in its home. Okay, it's in its home there, so it's very compatible there with Venus. And also, Fortuna here is coming together with Vertex. Okay, so Vertex, this is crazy what I'm about to explain to you guys. Okay, so pay attention. Venus. Okay, so Venus right now is in the local environment in the sixth house, the local environment. This is, and I'm explaining this so you guys won't be saying like, oh, it's just that she's Miss Goody Two Shoes. She's Miss Strawberry Shortcake. She complains about everything. I'm explaining to you guys to see how fucking crazy this could have been. Okay, so Venus in Libra is at 6 degrees of health, your environment, your local environment. Okay, the work you do, shopping, and all of that. Okay, it's coming together with Fortuna in Libra as well. In the 7 degrees of relationships, in the 7 degrees of balance. Okay, and it's a female that's fortunate. Okay, I mean, she knows who she is. She loves herself. She walks like, her shit don't stink. You know what I mean? Which it doesn't. She just smells good. That's what it is. And Fortuna is coming together with Vertex. Okay, so Vertex is fated things that happen. Destiny, fated things that happen. Okay, and Vertex is at 12 degrees of loss, okay, in the sign of Libra. So Libras right now, they got to really protect themselves. Not just Libras, but females. Or if you do have a lot of Libra like I have a stellium in Libra, I have to protect myself, okay? And especially because I have Pluto in Libra, okay? So I have to really protect. I have a strategy for myself. You know what I mean? I always overcome it anyway. And anyways, nothing can really happen to me because I am a 33-6, okay, life path. And, I've already completed a lot of things of the past, and now I'm about receiving things. But it doesn't mean that things can't actually happen. And this is why I have God in my life, right? And I've committed to God as well, okay? I've done a lot of difficult things where now it's all about, it's just the environment is very crazy, insane, mental illness and all that. And it's really not good, and the solution is to get out of Dodge, to get out of the area. And that's why I said, if I would have hit the lotto today, I would have got out of Dodge. I would have said, you know what, bye, adios. I'm going to go live in Orange County. I'm going to go live in, I don't know, San Diego. I love San Diego. I think San Diego is very beautiful. Orange County too, but just anywhere, or just buy a bunch of properties, Um, Arizona, I've always had luck in Arizona, and maybe Scottsdale or something where it's just private and stuff like that. But anyway, that will happen because, I'm in my receiving time now. I don't have to be fighting or arguing or competing or nothing like that. I already did that. I completed that. But because of the astrology, but I'm not saying that nothing can happen, right? I pray to God that it does not. But this is why I know astrology. This is why I report it. This is why I talk about it, so people could be aware. And I could be aware as well. This also helps me, okay? Because sometimes I don't have time to look at it, and I'll just like go out somewhere like, oh, I should have looked at the chart, I'm just so used to looking at the chart so much that my decisions is based on astrology. I don't make a decision without it, because it's the frequency and it's about alignment. So when Venus is coming together with Fortuna, that's great, right? But that's why I like to look at degrees, because degrees are very important. And then Fortuna comes together with Vertex, which is fated things that happen, destiny, right? And it's at the 12th degree of loss. The 12 degrees is a Pisces degree. to top it off. So what I see is something could have happened to a Pisces that has Libra, and probably some Virgo in which I do. I have a progress Virgo moon that is not going to leave till next year, which means that I'm very Virgo right now. Um, you know, and that's in another, because astrology can get a little bit complicated for the people that don't really know what I'm talking about. But that would be, I'll talk more about progress moons and how they affect us and so forth. They affect us a lot. This is why, I was born as a Libra moon, but people see me more like a Virgo, like always working and always being responsible and always, all of this, and not having enough time to have fun and so forth. And that's when you have a moon in Virgo, you're always work, 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 work. Even my mom that has strong Virgo, she told me, take a break, you know? And I was like, I know, I just want to get this done. And so anyway, um, but vertex here, okay, it's at 12 degrees of loss. It could also be death. It could be passing away, okay? And it's in the sign of Libra. So that's why I said if you're a Libra or you have Libra placements, be very careful in your environment where you are, because there's fated things that can happen. It might be that you're somebody that's valuable with Venus and Fortuna, and then you're in the wrong place, and then there could be a loss, okay? And so, there could be a loss. And also because Libra, the energy of Libra, it has to do with like sharp knives. Also Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, they all rule knives, okay? So I was even thinking that he probably could have had some like knives, or he could have had maybe scissors or a butcher knife or something, I don't know, like in his pockets or somewhere. Because you just never know. It's like, why was he following me, right? And then he raised his hands in the air like, where did she escaped? Where did she go? So that shit was scary, looking at it from afar. Like, this motherfucker, you know what I mean? And so anyway, so that's what's going on here with Venus, Fortuna, and something faded that goes away. Okay, something that ends, and it could end tragically, okay, in your local environment. So I just wanted to explain that. I seen this just now, like, wow, you know. Um, so the moon right now is still in Leo. Okay, it's still in Leo, and this is why I wanted to do the podcast also, because I wanted just to, you know, talk about females, and how we need to be protected. Okay, and if possible, invest in a VPN. I have a VPN, okay, because I don't need anybody to know where I'm at or where I am, but it doesn't keep you safe from being out there and then running into people outdoors. Okay, the VPN doesn't protect you from that. It protects you from online predators, or like online, especially if you're like famous, or if you're popular, and people just want to be around you, they want to know where you're at and everything. The VPN, it's going to protect you from online nosy people that want to know where you're at. And that's what the VPN does, right? And so, I mean, I could be like, if I have my VPN, I could be traveling to Greece, and people think I'm at home, but no, I'm in Greece. I just didn't tell nobody, no one, right? I just had my VPN to Greece, or I had it to LA, but I actually was in Greece. So it's like tricking people online, and that's for safety reasons. But if you are outside, okay, if you have a VPN, that's not going to protect you from that. If somebody outside, if you attract somebody outside, that person's going to be following you, and the VPN can't do nothing about that. So, so you do have to be strategic. You do have to be aware. You do have to be just aware in the environment where you are, and tell people where you are as well, or whatever it is. Be around people. You want to be around people, okay? You don't want to be by yourself, because that's where a lot of the attacks happen, when you're by yourself, when you're wearing backpacks and so forth. This is why everybody's riding a bicycle, and I cannot wait to get my bike. I'm going to get it in September. And finally, I'm going to get my own bike. I'm not going to use Line Bike anymore. And I can't wait to get it because it's just so bougie. I already know which one it is, and you guys will see it pretty soon. And I'm very excited for it. Now I don't have to worry about fucking crazy people out there, right? And I just love e-bikes. They're just so fun, so fun. Um, so the moon right now is in Leo. It's at 27 degrees of communication, the need to communicate, okay? And the moon is coming together with gold in the sign of Leo. So the moon's already about to wrap up. Let me actually refresh it. Let me see if it's still at that 27. Yeah, it's still at 27, okay? So the 27 degree is communication and it's coming together with gold, okay? So there's something about gold. Um, it could be anything. It could be makeup. It could be investments, anything like that. And it's conjuncting right now, before it wraps up because it's at the very final degrees. It's also coming together with the south node. Okay, so the moon in the south node, there's something that is, you might be remembering the past. You might be, you might be protected by ancestors. Okay, there might be ancestors around you, maybe dead ancestors that were Leos or something, and you're protected. Or it could be that you can't seem to leave a habit from the past, and you're just used to having these same habits of the past, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you're traditional and you want to do things a certain way, you want to cook a certain way. It's so interesting that I don't know why when I was at the store. Oh yeah, I didn't just buy the cheesecake. I don't know. I just started thinking of my mom because she loves spaghetti. She loves spaghetti, right? And so every time we cook spaghetti, we cook it with ground beef, and but instead of making it into meatballs, okay, we just put the pasta and the ground beef. We crumble it into little pieces and stuff, and we just put the pasta in there, and then the sauce, and then the cheese, and all of that, and then the herbs and everything that goes with it. So we don't actually do the meatballs. And I don't know, I was thinking to my mom, like, you know what? I'm going to buy me some because I'm trying to cook more clean and more healthy. And they had wheat pasta, wheat thin spaghetti pasta. So I bought some of that from the brand Barilla. I'm not sponsored by them, but I know it's an Italian brand, Barilla. And so I bought some of the wheat pasta, and I bought some really good basil and sauce brand also, and some Parmesan cheese as well, and then some herbs and stuff like that we put on there. Some parsley we put on there as well. And what did I buy? I bought oh yeah, it was the meatballs. So instead of buying the ground meat, I bought meatballs, right? And I've never have cooked spaghetti with meatballs, like pre-made spaghetti meatballs. And they had a bag there. It was an Italian brand, because in the local Vons, and in our town there's a lot of Italians, so they have a lot of Italian products. So I just say, you know what? Instead of buying the ground beef, I'm just going to buy the bag of meatballs, And I've never cooked spaghetti with pre-made meatballs. And they're made with spices, and it's a spaghetti, it's a Italian brand. So, Italian is very Leo and so forth. And, it's on my fourth house, my house of also rules cooking and all of that, right? And that's where I have Leo. So I'm investing in Italian products and see how it comes out. I'm gonna cook it tomorrow. But I told my mom we're gonna do spaghetti different, okay? And so maybe that has something to do with the moon. And the reason I say that is everything I say has a meaning, okay? It's not just because I'm showing off or whatever, you know. It's because the moon is coming together with the south node, okay? So maybe this is how Italians do cook. They cook with meatballs. You know, they don't shred the ground beef. I don't think they do it that way. I think, or maybe they create their own meatballs, right? Which I could do that too. It's kind of like a meatball albondiga soup that we do Mexicans, right? And just, you know, but I was lazy. I was like, I don't want to be there all day doing meatballs. You know what I mean? So when I seen the bag, they had pre-made meatballs, and they were Italian meatballs. I said, I'm gonna grab the bag. It was on sale too. It was a good deal. And so, you know, another thing I do have to say, I passed by the olive oil. I passed by the olive oil where I buy my Italian olive oil, and they raised the price. I was like, wait a minute. Yesterday, I think it was like 14.99, and then today they raised the price higher. I was like, okay, Vons, I know you're watching me. I know you're watching me, Vons, because today it went higher. So I don't know, you know, maybe people are buying them or something. I don't know. So that was funny. I started laughing. And so anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do. So that's the moon, and the south node is doing things of the past. Maybe saying, why don't you do meatballs instead of, you know, just ground beef? Ground beef. I didn't hear that, but this is what it's saying here. When the moon and the south node comes together, which is the past, it could be the historical past. Okay, it doesn't have to be like 1 year or 2 years or 3 years ago. No, we're talking about historical past. Okay, like Renaissance days. That's how far the south node goes. Okay, and it could be really far. We're talking, like I said, you know, medieval times, okay? When it comes to Leo, it's all about royalty and so forth, you know? So I just wanted to be like very authentic. I said, you know what? We'll get the meatballs, we'll get the pasta, the wheat pasta, and the great sauce that I bought, and some, you know, herbs and stuff, and it's gonna come out so good. The last pasta that I did, the spaghetti pasta, came out so good. Oh my God, that pasta when it went like I was like, oh my God, we don't have any more, you know. I only ate a bowl, and then my mom and my dad, they ate everything. And my mom was like, it was so good. I'm like, yeah, I guess I did cook it right, you know. But anyway, but my mom just loves my cooking. She says I cook really, really good. Um, so anyway, this is why I do sometimes, not all the time, because I don't have time to be cooking every day, you know. But she does love my cooking. So there could be something about the past, okay? Maybe you want to do something about ancestors, remembering moments, um, anything like that, okay? Especially right now that the moon is about to wrap up, okay? Once the moon leaves out of Leo, okay, it's not going to connect with the south node. So right now that the moon is our feelings and how we feel, and also what we eat, what we consume, has to do with the moon, okay? Our feelings, how we feel about certain food, and it has to do with the past, okay? um and what is this one? Oh, and then gold is sandwiched right in between it. Something about gold, okay? um Another thing too here, also the moon is coming together with Israel, this asteroid of Israel. It's at 25 degrees of Aries. Okay, so it's very passionate. It's about action. It is about taking action. It is about speed. Okay, God's speed. And it's how we feel about spirituality. Okay, Israel doesn't have to be about Jewish. Okay, Israel can just, in general, can be about spirituality, about God. Okay, and when the moon is in Israel come together, you know, um, it is about these feelings about God and spirituality and faith and belief, you know, and having to have belief in what we are doing, what we are cooking, how we feel about our communication that's being communicated. Okay, um, and then that's coming together with the sun as well, which is highlighting all of this cluster that's happening in Leo. In between, let me see where the sun is at right now. The sun is in the fourth house of real estate, your home, your ancestors, um, your ancestry, and it's interesting because today, I think it's today and tomorrow, but I think tomorrow in the wee hours of 3 o'clock in the morning, there is this show that's happening. It's the Perseid meteor shower. I'm going to be up to see what type of shower we're talking about in the sky. They say it's going to look really cool. Let's see if it passes through California. But it's really fascinating because there's a lot of planets, okay, that are coming together. Not only did we get this special gift of the solar eclipse in Leo, but now we're having this for sky gazers. There's going to be this Perseid meteor shower, and I think over there in what is it in LA? I think it's in the I don't think it's the Getty. It's I had it in Facebook. I posted it in Facebook, but they're having telescopes and they're having this whole meteor shower party, where there's gonna be a lot of like maybe a lot of scientists and geeks and smart people that want to look, or just you just want to look at the stars. You want to look at the show. And that's gonna be pretty cool. So I'm gonna be up maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. They say around 2 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's see if I see anything out in the sky through my balcony. Let's see if not, I then it just didn't show up over here. But it's interesting to look at it. It's very interesting. Um, and so that's what's happening around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. What's happening also, I do want to talk about the challenges here because, there's great stuff going on. Um, there's a lot of protection from ancestors, I do have to say. Okay, when it comes to Leo, um, there is the sun is making an opportunity with vertex, which has to do with fated things. Okay, um, and it's in Libra, and wait a minute, did I? Okay, it just moved around. Okay, so you know what? Let me look at. Okay, yeah, in vertex. Okay, so it moved out of the 12 degrees. That's what I was thinking. Like it looks weird, but it's not that it looks weird. Is that it moved out of the 12 degree already? Good. So this was earlier when I was talking about my encounter with that crazy man, right? That's when it. That's when it was at or let me check here. No, that's when it was at 12 degree vertex, which is fated events and destiny. Now it's at 19. Now it's about justice, okay? Balance, justice, attorneys, courts, all of that stuff, okay? Um, but it already left the 12 degrees, so we don't have to worry about that anymore, okay? It moves pretty fast, okay, when it comes to these asteroids. So now the moon um, is, let me see, was it? No, I think it was the sun. Yeah, it's the sun. So the sun in Leo right now is making an opportunity with vertex, okay? Which is now at 19 degrees. It has to do with justice. So there's something that was illuminated, okay, that is making an opportunity with something faded that has to do with justice, okay? Where it's about you getting justice regarding something that was illuminated, okay? Something you found out, something that needed to be talked about. Maybe there could be some changes, or maybe not. I don't know. But it doesn't hurt to talk about it, right? It doesn't hurt to, be the sounding alarm to other females that they should not be walking late at night. They should not be around men that either stink or they look drunk or, they look like hobos or something. You know what I mean? Like, no. Um, so, what else is going on here with the moon? Um, Let me look here. The moon is making an opportunity with Mars. Okay, so moon sextile Mars. The opportunity that you have to fight back. or you have to get on a car, or you have to get on a bus, or you have to get on a bike, It's not really suitable right now to be walking, okay? Unless you walk really fast. And another thing I do have to say is that that man that was following me, he was walking really fast. But like I said, he was skinny and tall. So he was a fast walker. So this is that moon that is in Leo, making an opportunity with Mars that just entered Cancer. And this could have been the man that was walking really fast, because I was like, whoa, I can't believe he caught up to me. And I don't know, what kind of walking he does. He must have been on crack or something, because, usually when you're on drugs, you're like, you know, speedy racer or something. I don't know. I've never done drugs, so, never, never. I know, I'm odd. But, I've never done drugs, but I have heard that people that do drugs, they do things really fast. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs do it because they want to be up late at night and want to be working and working and working. So I don't recommend it. There's vitamins that you can take for that, supplements. You don't need to do drugs. But he must have been on something because he was walking really fast. Um, let's see, what else is the moon doing here? Okay, it's trining Chiron. Okay, so there's ability right now to heal. Okay, Chiron is in Taurus, and I think it's still in Taurus, right? Yeah, it's still in Taurus, and it's in retrograde. So there's something of the past, okay, um, that the moon is in alignment with Chiron. It's something that you need to heal about the past. So there could be some past regressions. Maybe when you feel that maybe you had a stalker that was following you, like I did, where I encountered the LA Night Stalker, the famous LA Night Stalker. Uh, and that brings back memories of, you know, encountering him when I was in junior high. And I never seen him face to face. Luckily, they gave him the gas chamber. He's gone already. But, you know, um, he was doing a lot of killing back in those days. And it kind of reminds me of the same situation. But I'm over it, you know what I mean? But there's an ability to heal, you know, from those situations where you're being followed and they just want to be around you. It's like you're a star, you know? We want to reach a star. We want to see the star. We want to see the show tonight, right? And we want to see how bright the stars are, the meteor show, and you can't touch it, but you could see it. Um, but we have ability right now to heal in Chiron and Taurus. It has to do with the land or the environment where you live, the real estate where you live. So there's this ability to heal, you know, there. Um, Also, the moon is making an opportunity with Ceres. Ceres has to do with land as well. It has to do with abundance. So there's ability to heal there. Yeah, it's making an opportunity with Ceres. So it is about nurturing yourself, healing yourself. It is about abundance, feeling abundant, right? How can you feel more abundant and so forth? And I just want to say, I have no fear whatsoever. Okay. I know that this eclipse was going to bring fear in some kind of way. So I guess the 20 degree of Scorpio, which rules drugs and all of that, maybe brought a little bit of like, it wasn't fear today. It was more like, what the fuck is he doing? You know what I mean? Like, it pissed me off. It was more about a piss off, more like Mars. Like, I was just upset that he was following me. He thought he was gonna get away with something. That's what pissed me off. But anyway, I didn't let it get to me because you know why? I wear jewelry that grounds me. Okay, so this is why, and it takes like fear off and all of that. It just balances and grounds me, and this is why I feel I'm not being affected, like I thought I would be affected. I wasn't scared. It was more piss off. I was freaking pissed off. So anyway, The moon, let me. Oh, this one was interesting because I just added an asteroid called California. So the moon is squaring California right now. Okay, I'm not surprised why people in California didn't win the lotto, the Powerball. It is squaring California right now. Um, it's interesting. Let me see where California is. Oh, that's wage. Um, mm, oh yeah, California's in Taurus. Okay, California is in Taurus. That's where that asteroid is. And it's at 26 degrees. It's a very great degree, okay, for California. It's a 26 degree of wealth. It's a 26 degree, 2 plus 6 is 8. Okay, so that's mega wealth. Uh, but 26 degrees is also the degree of Taurus. It's a double Taurus, okay? And it's about land, it's about real estate. That is where California is, okay? And it's making a challenging square with the moon in Leo at 27 degrees of communication. So that is interesting. Let me see where what house it's in to get more information on that. That is on the first house of the self, okay? The motto there is I am, okay? So California is I am, okay? In the sign of Taurus, that has to do with land and real estate, Wall Street. It has to do with investors. It has to do with bankers, all of that. And it's making a challenge with the moon in Leo right now. Once the moon in Leo leaves, it's not going to have a challenge anymore. Because now after Leo is going to enter Virgo, and Taurus and Virgo get along very well. They're both earth signs. But right now, it is making a challenge, and it has something to do with some sort of communication about land, about real estate. Um, it's kind of like California on the first house is saying, this is who I am. Okay, we should not be having these type of problems. The first house has to do um, with experience through the discovery of the individual, right? Of California knowing who it is, right? And it also has to do with Mexicans, okay? It has to do with Latinos and Mexicans, and the fact that it's being challenged by the moon in Leo, you know, there's this need of having to brand more Mexicans, having to brand more Latinos, having to brand more products of Latin products like meat and tequila and um, you know um, and things like that. But I mean, you got to sandwich it both together because I mean, I love pasta. I do. I love pasta. And I just do. And right now I'm on to this olive oil and pasta and all this. But I do love Mexican food too. You know, I ate these tacos, which, you know, I almost got murdered for eating freaking tacos. This other crazy guy, right? Mental illness guy, when I was eating tacos, which is so interesting, right? Where California in Taurus at the degree of wealth, in the house of I am, right, is being challenged by Leo. But yesterday was a different degree, so it could have been like a 13 degree, it could have been a 12 degree or something with the moon in Leo. And that's why, that incident happened, or it was not really an incident, but it was a situation that could have gone really bad if I wouldn't have left that area. So and I even thought about it. What's so bad about eating tacos? You know what I mean? And so it could be this square, it could be this challenge here, that's happening. So anyway, I think I overstayed here and I overtalked here. This is why I'm going to continue doing the astro weather, so you guys could know what kind of energies we are having. And yeah, I'm even like in awe, because I have not really been looking at the chart, um, because I have not been doing the astro weather. But now I'm going to be consistently doing it. It's just like I really tied up with household goods. The home right now is very important for me, and I'm doing because of the transits that are going on. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. If you guys did like it, do share, do like, do subscribe. You can subscribe for free, and you will get notifications on there when you follow me, and you have the downloaded app in your phone, and you will never miss an episode. Okay, because I'm going to be consistently doing it just as much as it's like the Weather Channel. And if you do want to go deeper and you want to get a reading or you want consultation on there, you can check out my website at www.starzenith33.com. And you can book an appointment there and we can go from there. Okay? So, anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day and talk to you soon.